friends in my class, friends down the hall, any students, teachers, parents who are trying to learn during this crazy time. I created this channel so that every student could keep learning. I'm reviewing all of the standards that my students are reviewing right now in 5th grade, but I can teach anything that you would want in elementary math. So if you need something answered, send me a picture of a worksheet. I'll figure out what's going on. ConnellyMathAtHome@gmail.com. And please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. We want as many students learning right now as possible. We don't want them to miss out on this time. This is precious learning time, so please share. And I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can in a day so that every kid, wherever, can learn. Today's topic I'm going to cover is just a quick little review of what to do when you have story problems about volume. So in 5th grade, we tackle the volume of a rectangular prism. We'll also look at the volume of a regular solid. So those 2 videos are already posted. Volume of a rectangular prism, volume of an irregular solid. And that's where I go in depth with the formulas and how to find the volume, and then this obviously goes with that. So if you want to learn more about the length, width, and height, please watch the volume of the rectangular prism. So here's an example of a story problem you might get. Whenever we are looking at story problems, you want to think about what information is known, what is not known, what do you need to solve for. And I always recommend drawing a picture to go with it, visualizing what's going on. So I'm going to help you get a rectangular prism on your paper, hopefully, as part of this. I'm not an art teacher, but stick with me. So here's an example of some information that you might get. A box has a volume of 48 inches cubed. It has a length of 2 inches and a width of 3 inches. What is the height? So when we think about what information is given to us, they've given us the volume, so we are not trying to solve for the total volume of the box. It's given to us. They also gave us the length and the width, and they're asking us for the height. So let me remind you of the different formulas for volume. I'll do it in a different color so it sticks out, and I will erase my email so we have space. Okay, so 2 formulas for volume that I go over in the volume of rectangular prism is volume equals length times width times height, or another one that you can use to find the volume of a rectangular prism is base times height. Okay, I'll go over what the base is when we get to a problem that involves that. So let's talk about this one. Using the formula, I'm going to plug in the information that has been given. Okay, so I got the volume. I'm going to put it underneath the V. Okay, I'm going to keep searching for information that they gave me. It has a length of 2 inches. Okay, so they gave us the length. So right underneath the length, I'm going to give it a 2. And they also gave us the width of 3 inches. I'm going to put it underneath my W. And then I realize that the information that I'm looking for is the height. That is not given to me. Okay? The other thing that I said would be helpful is drawing a picture. So here's your rectangular prism arts lesson for the day. You are going to give yourself a rectangle, all right? A dot right in the middle, and that's where you start drawing your next rectangle. Go out to the side. You want to make them about the same size, obviously, it's not going to be perfect. And then it's just connecting the lines. Connect, 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 connect. And voila, we have ourselves a rectangular prism. So sometimes it is helpful to label what information is given. They gave us the length is 2, they gave us the width is 3, and we want to know what the height equals. Okay, the volume of the entire thing is 48 inches cubed. So this is a way that you can visualize what's going on. If you're stuck, don't know what to do, draw a picture. All right, so back to solving. We have 48 equals 2 times 3 times h, and we have to figure out what that is. So 2 times 3 is 6, and we still don't know the height, so we keep it there. And then you ask yourself, what could be the only number that fits here for the height? So 48 equals 6 times what? So boys and girls, you should be thinking, and I'm sure you've thought about it with your parents, that the only value that can fit in there is 8. Okay, so And now we have the answer, and we just double check, were they looking for the height? What is the height? The height is 8 inches. Okay, so important to remember with any story problem, our answer isn't always what's on one side of the equal sign. We have to make sure we're answering the actual question given. Okay? All right, so that's one example of a story problem that you might get approach when you're talking about volume. I'm going to give you another example. It's going to take me a second to write, but just know I'm going as fast as I can. All right, so that was your only chance to see how to make a rectangular prism. Sorry. Rewind and watch it again. So let's say this time that we're given a box that has a volume, let's say 56 inches cubed. Okay, so again, we're given the volume is 56 inches cubed. Okay, next I'm going to tell you the base, oh no, not JK, I'm going to do the height. The height of the prism is 7 inches. What could be the length and width? So now we're going to have to think a little bit. So let's think about what we've been given. We've been given that the box has a volume of 56 inches cubed. I'm going to go over to our base times height, and I'm going to say 56 inches cubed is my volume. Okay, so the volume of this whole thing is 56 inches cubed. Then I also want to write down that they gave us the height. Just kidding. They gave us the height to be 7, and we don't know the base, which is the length and width. So let me explain base again real quick. The area of the bottom of a rectangular prism is called its base. In order to find the base, we would be multiplying the length times the width. Okay, so we have length times width times height. That's this formula. But if we're combining the length times width, we get the area of the base. So we can do base times height. If you're confused, go back and watch the volume of a rectangular prism because I explain further. So from here, we can kind of determine what the area of this base is because we know that there's only one number that fits here for base. So I'll let you think about it. 7 times what makes 56? And I'm sure you discovered that the base is 8 inches squared. Okay, from there, now we can figure out the length and the width. What could they be? So let's look over here. I'm going to plug in our information again. So we know that the length and the width has to equal 8 because we're multiplying times 7, and that gets us to 56. So let's think about 8. What could be the length and the width? 2 factors to make 8. Okay, you have a second to think about it? I know that 1 times 8 times 7 could be 56. So what could the length and width be? One option is the length could be 1 and the width could be 8 inches. Okay, so we could have 1 and we could have 8. But that's not the only answer. I love these volume questions because you can design this however you want. And if you are in my class, you're going to be trying to design the dimensions for Mr. Parks's, you know, that lizard thing he has. So that's one of the questions. You have to come up with 5 different ways. That's what we're going to work on next in this video. So is there more than one way to make a base of 8, a length times a width? And you might be thinking, and I'm going to erase some of this story problem, that yes, there is. We could have 56 equals length times width times 7. So we know these two have to equal 8. So what's another way to make 8? We could make it 4 times 2. See how that equals 8? 4 times 2 is 8 times 7 gets us to 56. So if there's more than one right answer here. Your length could be 2 and your width could be 4, or vice versa. So, boys and girls, when you get these story problems, you have to think about 56 times what, no, sorry, 7 times what makes 56. And once you identify this base, this bottom area, then you can solve for the dimensions. And there could be more than one correct answer. Speaking of more than one correct answer, in class we did the whole thing where we designed a pool for your community, and I gave you some dimensions you had to use and things like that. So let's think about a story problem that's similar to that. So a pool has to have a volume let's just stick with 500. 560 meters cubed. What could the dimensions be? So I'm just going to erase this so we don't get confused right now. So I'm saying a pool has to have a volume of 560 meters cubed. What could the dimensions be? So we got a real life situation. Maybe you're designing a pool for your backyard. Can't tell if that'd be a big pool. But anyways, let's see if we can figure this out. So we know that the length times width times height has to make 560 meters cubed. Okay? So one thing I want to think about is I know that this is a multiple of 10, so any of our dimensions can be 10. So let's think about it that way. So I'm going to say 560. I'm going to make my length 10 meters. I know that I have to think of 2 other numbers I can multiply my height by to make 556. Or no, wait, I call this my length. I'm sorry. All right, so let's say the length of the pool is 10 meters. And we know that 560 divided by 10 is 56. So I have 56 meters left to use. So I know some of you are going to want to do this because you did it in class. That's how I know. 56 times 1. And then we have a pool that's 1 meter deep. That's not very deep. So then you want to think to yourself, is this a pool I'd really want to design? Maybe not. All right, so maybe you want to make the pool 10 meters deep. So I guess we're talking about the deep end right now. And then we can split it, the 56 remaining meters here. So if I think about what we just did in a different problem, hint, hint, a way to make 56, maybe we could make the pool 8 meters long and 7 meters wide and 10 meters deep. Okay? That's not the only dimensions we could do, so let's think of some other ones. Maybe we just want to make it 5 meters deep. My point of doing a bunch of different combinations is to show you that there's several different ways to make the volume. If you're in my class and after this lesson, you're going to find 5 ways to design that tank for with the aquarium. I don't know what it's called when you have a lizard. The thing that holds the lizard, the cage. Okay, so that's going to be your task. So anyways, if I take 5 meters out of this, what am I left with? 56 times 2, which is 112. So I have 112 left to use. And let's think for a little bit. So so this is what teachers are doing too. Maybe since I split this factor in half, hint, hint, I could double this factor. Maybe make the pool 14 meters wide and keep my 8 the same. So let's just double check that that's 560. So 5 times 10 is 50. We have 70 over here times 8, 560. So what I was doing, friends in my class, and maybe I'll make a video about this because it's important, is I split one factor in half, which meant to keep the equation balanced, I had to double a different factor, C70, and I kept this the same. Let's see if that works with another one. Let's split this one in half, I'm going to double my 8, and this time I'll keep the 5 the same. So we have 7 times 10 is 70, 6 times 7 is 42, we have 112 again times 5. So, did I do that right? Yes. So that is, how many ways did we make it? 1, 2, 3, 4. We found 4 different ways that we could make the different dimensions for this pool all with the same volume. Okay, so all we did was we thought about 560. We decided on one factor and started splitting things up. You need to find a way to make 560 with 3 different factors because you are finding the length, the width, and the height. And that is some of the story problems that you might encounter today. If you are not in my class or in my school or in 5th grade, these are some problems that you might encounter. You're going to identify what information you know. You're going to decide what you don't know in the formula. Perhaps you might draw a picture. You're going to use all of your multiplication strategies to solve, and there's a little bit of division involved here too. And that is how you are going to deal with the story problems about volume. There's many, many more problems about volume, but these are the ones my class is tackling, so these are the ones that I decided to go over. Please like, subscribe, and share. Make sure you watch some of the other videos about volume to help you understand this one, and I'll see you soon.